Can a breastfeeding mother drink coffee? What about alcohol? Speaking of alcohol, does having a beer increase your milk supply? If you do need to increase your milk supply, is drinking water the best thing to do? I had so many questions, so I sat down with the International Board Certified Lactation Consultant Diana West. She's been in private practice for 20 years. She's the author of many books, and so she was the perfect person to answer these questions, and that's what we're talking about today. So I'm joined today by Diana West, and she is really answering the questions that are on the minds of so many people, the questions I get in my DMs on Instagram, the questions that I get in emails and in webinars that I do. And so Diana, thank you so much for being here. And then we're going to talk today. Can we start out by one of the number one questions that I get? Can a nursing mom drink coffee?
Yes.
You're tired. Your baby woke up 6 times in the night. Can you drink coffee?
So here's the deal. With pregnancy, caffeine goes straight through the placenta, caffeinates the baby, generally not recommended. I mean, sometimes in moderation.
Right.
It's a little bit different in lactation. So it's not going straight through the placenta, not going mainline to the baby, so to speak. It is going through your whole blood system, all the filtering that happens, but it will get into the milk. It's to a lesser extent. There's ways to reduce how much the baby gets by taking your coffee after nursing, after pumping, and then there will be less in your milk by the time the baby nurses. It does not have to be pumped out because it will go into the milk and it actually passes back into the bloodstream out of your milk. So that part should be just fine, even if the baby nurses when you have it. For most people, 1 or 2 cups is just not a big deal.
That's what I was just going to ask. Is there a number where you say,
yeah.
Okay, you have 2 cups, and are your 2 cups of this or this?
But we know that everybody has different sensitivities to caffeine. And so it's always important to just, monitor is the word I was looking for. Monitor your own baby's response. See if you see any jitteriness or staying awake more than is normal.
Right.
But also the same for you as a mom. It's really important to get enough sleep. So I would certainly avoid caffeine anytime after dinner time so that you can get to sleep easily when you finally get a chance.
But as is the case when people talk to me about food sensitivities and nursing and things, I'm not sure what your feeling on this is, but my reaction is generally, okay, mark down that has happened. You had a cup of coffee, you felt like your baby, and then do it again in a few days and see if that was the reaction.
Completely agree.
Because babies,
sometimes it was just a quirk.
Yeah, they're crazy little creatures. And so there's no pattern here. Okay.
Completely agree.
As we're on that subject of things that you can drink, very often people feel like the more water they drink, the more milk they will produce. Where does this, can you educate us on this?
I'm so glad you brought it up. I have been fighting this for 20 years. And when I say fighting, it's just not true that drinking water will make more milk. And since the internet began, I mean to tell you, I was right there with it. I'm ancient. And I saw people saying, ladies, drink your water. If you're breastfeeding, you got to drink huge things. And since the very beginning, when I first was told that as a nursing mom, I went and looked at the research. And what I found at that time is, and it stayed true, it just doesn't work that way. When you drink water, it goes into your system, but having more water in your blood, in your being better hydrated, is not going to be interpreted by your breasts as a need to make more. It's not going to, there's no mechanism by which it says better hydrated, make more milk. What it does do though, is make you pee more. It's just, it's only that. It's going to dilute some of your electrolytes. The bigger issue is that people worry that they need that extra volume to have the water for the milk. The body knows how to do this. It's more efficient. If your body needs more water, it makes you feel thirsty. So certainly always drink to thirst. But you just don't need more than normal because the body is more efficient. The colon becomes more efficient at taking water out of everything you eat and drink. So your body knows how to do this. You don't need more. And if you feel thirsty, your body's just telling you, okay, a little bit more would be great. But there's
Right
no
in the
need.
midst of in the midst of being a new mother, now you're like, did I drink my half a body weight in ounces, blah blah blah, like, yeah, you're drinking to thirst, and it goes back to everything we talk about all the time, which is supply and demand. Are you sending your body the messages that
But there's two things to be, well, in addition to peeing more, which is just it's a pain in the butt. The other thing is that there's two other things. One is that it can actually lead to systemic edema, very slight swelling throughout the body, our entire system. And that in a nipple can be just enough swelling to make it hard for the milk to get out.
Right.
And we at Pumpin Pal, there's some thinking, we're just kind of noodling this out, but we think there might be a relationship between the elasticity and the added water. We're not sure yet, stay tuned, but that's something we're looking at.
Okay.
And the other factor is simply that the research has shown clearly drinking too much can decrease your supply.
No kidding.
So for some people who are trying to make more milk and pounding down on this water, it might actually be working against them.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Good information.
Real quick.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Some people are told Gatorades. There's certain flavors of Gatorade. Blue Gatorade, I think, is a favorite.
Right.
And something about Armour coconut water. Neither of which have anything in them that has been known by research to have anything to do with milk production. So I think both of those.
Through like a Facebook moms group, and people are throwing out lots of time. Oatmeal. That's another thing that
there's something to that one.
A little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah, oatmeal actually has lactogen, which is I don't have all the science behind it in my head, but it is an ingredient that does and has been shown very solidly in research to increase milk supply moderately. It's not going to be a huge amount, and it does need to be the old-fashioned type of oatmeal, not the instant kind, unfortunately. But you can put as much sugar or anything else you want in it to make it palatable.
Right.
That can have a mild effect. There are many other foods, though, that can be more effective.
Right. Okay. And then that's a whole other thing that we'll talk about someday for sure.
Sure.
And then another question that people are often embarrassed to ask, but want to know is, can a nursing mother drink alcohol? Can she have a glass of wine? Can she have a beer? Can she have a mixed drink?
The short answer is yes. Now, up front, I should say, if your baby is in the NICU or compromised in any way, then I would certainly recommend holding off. So the general answer is that most people can have alcohol within moderation. Generally, 1 glass every 2 hours is probably adequate. I mean, you wouldn't want to have much more than that. Drinking it after nursing or pumping is going to give your baby the least amount, because you'll drink it, your body metabolizes it, it goes into your milk, and it comes out of your milk. No need to pump and dump. And then after 2 to 3 hours, it's gone, and your milk is back to normal. How you can tell how much you have. You don't need to get the little strips.
There's no strip needed.
You don't need it. You can just tell how you feel. If you feel a little intoxicated, a little buzzed, then that's a pretty high level in your milk. Just wait for it to die down, and your milk is back to where it was.
And it's not at that time, just to clarify, it's not you feel a little buzz, now you should pump, and then that buzzed milk is gone. It's okay, you can't feed your baby right now. You need to
that's a waste of good milk, because it's going to go into your system and it's going to come out. So that's a way to manage it. It's generally 1 drink. It could be 2 beers, 2 glasses of wine, 1 heavy hard cocktail type of drink, like a margarita.
Right. But understanding that you want to sit out on the porch with your husband and have a glass of wine, your favorite show, you want to watch The Bachelor and drink a beer. Watch The Bachelor and drink a beer.
Valerie, one thing that just comes to me over and over and over again is how difficult it is to be a new mom. And that is before things like a worldwide pandemic that we're recording this now. This video may last for many years, but we're recording it at a time when moms are really struggling, isolated at home. But even without a pandemic, that's so often the case. Right. And the reality is that everybody's focused on the baby. You're focused on the baby. But you need care too. You just recovered from delivery. Some people have C-sections, and then there's other things going on, not to mention nipple pain.
Right.
You need care, you need self-care, you need any little pleasure in life you can find.
Right. And for some people, that's fancy body wash. And for some people,
Or a
that's
good book.
fine.
Yeah. Who has time to read?
So
But
how old would the baby be? Is there a minimum age that the baby should be before you're having your one glass every 2 hours?
I recommend avoiding it for the first 3 days because the junctures in the alveoli that make the milk are more wide open and it will pass more readily into your milk than it will later on. After 3 days, it's really not an issue. Again, watch your baby. Don't overdo it. Everything in moderation. But in general,
Obviously, you would never drink to the point that you have a newborn to care for.
yeah,
So
you
you're
can't
not
be
college.
non-functional.
You want to have your glass of wine on the porch. You're not like at a bachelor party here.
Exactly. We're not talking about becoming drunk. We're not talking about becoming loopy. You need to still be alert because you never know what could happen.
Right.
And suddenly a baby is in distress and you need to be able to react quickly. And alcohol does blunt your reaction time. So
for sure. And if you feel like one glass will do that, then then that's not the recommendation for you, for sure. While we're on this,
or have someone else have another adult there.
Right. Oh, yes, for sure. As we're on the subject of alcohol, there are a lot of people here that drinking a beer will increase their supply. Tell us, is it true?
I'm glad you brought that up. Well, it may or may not be true. So the old-fashioned stout type beers, those are the really thick, really dark ones that almost replace a meal, Guinness type stouts. Those do have a very moderate ability to increase milk production because of the hops and barley.
Okay.
But the alcohol in them decreases your milk ejection reflex. So even though you might make a little bit more milk, you may not be able to get it out.
Right.
And heavy alcohol use decreases milk production overall. So in general, that's probably not your best way to increase milk.
Right. There's definitely other ways to increase milk rather than your beer is not. And if that's what you're telling yourself to drink your beer, we've just settled it for you. You can drink your beer without
enjoy your beer. Yeah, absolutely. So but again, some people do find it increases slightly. Other ways to do it, but there is a little bit of truth to it.
Okay, perfect. This has been so informative. I look forward to talking to you again. I'm going to build up my question list so we can chat again soon. Diana, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, and good luck to everybody. I know it's tough going through new motherhood, but you got someone great. You've got Valerie here to help, and that's huge.
Thank you so much, Diana.